Lena had always felt different. In the busy corridors of Aurora Prime, the newest human colony on the sparkling planet, she often found herself standing at the edges of groups, unseen and unheard. The colony was a mix of humans and aliens, a place where towering crystalline structures reflected the twin suns in dazzling colors, and alien creatures with shimmering wings flitted through the air. Yet amidst all this beauty, Lena felt like she didn't belong. Her tall ears, luminous eyes, and hair that shimmered like strands of starlight made her an easy target for teasing. Some colonists whispered behind her back, and others did not hide their stares. Even when she smiled politely, they would mutter words that cut deeper than any sharp object. Today was no different. Lena walked slowly through the crystal market, her small basket clutched in her hands. Vendors were shouting about glowing fruits, floating crystals, and fabrics that changed color with every glance. She tried to focus on the stalls to let the colors and sounds distract her from the whispers, but she could not. A group of teenagers laughed loudly as she passed, pointing at her iridescent hair. One of them muttered something she couldn't quite catch, but the laughter was enough to make her cheeks burn. She kept her head down, telling herself to ignore it, but inside, a heavy weight pressed on her chest. She found herself at the outskirts of the market, near the edge of the colony where the tall buildings gave way to wide fields of alien flowers. The twin suns were dipping toward the horizon, casting warm orange and pink light over the landscape. The flowers here glowed softly, and gentle breezes carried a scent that was both sweet and unfamiliar. Lena took a deep breath and allowed herself a small smile. This place was quiet, peaceful, and no one was around to mock her. For the first time in hours, she felt calm. Lena walked along a narrow path through the glowing fields, marveling at the way the sunlight danced on the petals of the flowers. Some flowers looked like they were made of glass, and others seemed to hum softly, vibrating with a tiny pulse of energy. She knelt to touch one of the glowing petals, amazed at its warmth and soft texture. Her fingers traced the edges, and for a moment the world felt right. She imagined herself as part of this quiet, magical place and not the subject of ridicule. As she walked further, she noticed a figure in the distance. A young man, dressed in a simple outfit that contrasted with the brilliance of the colony's buildings, was kneeling beside a small device, carefully adjusting its settings. Lena hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to approach or leave. Curiosity got the better of her. Slowly she walked closer, keeping to the shadows of the glowing flowers. She could see that he was human like her, but his calm demeanor and focused expression made him seem completely at ease with the world around him. The young man looked up as she approached and gave a small, friendly nod. "Hello," he said softly, his voice warm and gentle. Lena felt a strange comfort in the sound. It had been a long time since anyone had spoken to her without a hint of mockery or judgment. "Hi," she replied quietly, unsure why she was talking to him. The man smiled, and Lena noticed that his eyes were full of kindness, the kind she had rarely encountered. "What brings you out here?" he asked, his gaze shifting toward the glowing flowers around them. Lena shrugged. "I needed some space," she said honestly. "The market. It's too loud sometimes." He nodded as if he understood completely. "I know," he said. "I like coming here when I want to think. It helps me see things clearly." Lena felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. No one had ever spoken to her like this before. She realized that maybe, just maybe, she didn't have to hide all the time. Maybe someone could see past her unusual appearance and notice her for who she truly was. For the first time in a long while, a small spark of hope lit up inside her. Maybe someday she could feel confident walking through the market, through the colony without fear or shame. The twin suns lowered further, casting long shadows across the glowing fields. Lena watched them, feeling a strange sense of peace. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, or how the colonists would continue to treat her. But in this moment, surrounded by soft light and someone who treated her with kindness, she felt a tiny seed of courage grow. She could face the world even if slowly, one step at a time. And maybe one day, she would not just be noticed for her appearance, but for her heart, her mind, and her creativity. For now, Lena walked beside the young man in quiet companionship, letting the beauty of Aurora Prime fill her with wonder and hope. The market and the whispers could wait. In this magical field of glowing flowers under the twin suns, Lena felt, finally, a sense of belonging. Lena felt a gentle pull to explore the glowing fields a little longer. The young man who had introduced himself as Kai walked beside her, adjusting a small device that hummed quietly in his hands. He explained that it was a scanner, designed to study the unique energy patterns of Aurora Prime's flora. Lena listened with interest, amazed at how he treated the flowers with respect and care, rather than just looking at them as objects. He knelt beside a cluster of small luminous blooms and pointed out how their colors shifted, depending on the angle of the light. Lena leaned closer, fascinated, and for the first time in a long while she felt curiosity outweigh her self-conscious thoughts. Kai noticed her interest and smiled. "You have a good eye," he said gently. Lena blushed, unsure how to respond. Most people she met never said anything kind about her abilities or her attention to detail. I like noticing things," she said softly. "Things that others might miss." Kai nodded as if he understood perfectly. "That's important," he replied. "Sometimes noticing small details is how we discover new things. Even the smallest detail can change everything we know." Lena felt a spark of excitement. For the first time, she felt like someone was taking her thoughts seriously, not just judging her by how she looked. As they walked further, Kai told her about the colony's research projects, how humans and aliens work together to understand the planet and share knowledge. Lena's eyes widened as he spoke of floating energy fields, luminescent insects and plants that could communicate through color and light. She asked questions and Kai answered patiently, never treating her questions as foolish. His enthusiasm was infectious, and Lena found herself smiling more freely than she had in years. They came to a small pond, its surface reflecting the twin suns and the glowing plants that surrounded it. The water shimmered in shades of blue and gold, and tiny creatures that looked like flying jewels hovered above it. Lena knelt by the edge, mesmerized by the gentle ripples and the reflections of the glowing plants. Kai knelt beside her, not too close, but close enough that she felt a comforting presence. "You see the way the water changes color with the light?" he asked. "It's like it's alive, responding to everything around it." Lena nodded, her fingers tracing gentle circles on the water's surface. "It's beautiful," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Kai smiled, not taking his eyes off her. "You notice beauty in things others might overlook," he said softly. Lena felt a warmth in her chest at his words. No one had ever spoken to her like this before. No one had made her feel seen. They spent hours walking through the fields and along the pond, discovering tiny wonders together. Kai showed Lena how the glowing plants could be gently encouraged to grow into shapes, and she discovered she had a natural talent for it. With a few careful touches, a cluster of flowers began to form a delicate spiral, their lights blending in a pattern that made Lena's heart flutter. Kai clapped his hands softly, clearly impressed. "You have a real gift," he said. "You see patterns and shapes that others might not. That's special." Lena felt her chest swell with pride, though she still worried about the whispers of the colony. But in this quiet place, with Kai's encouragement, those worries felt distant. As the twin suns began to dip lower in the sky, casting long golden shadows, Lena realized she had been smiling without even noticing it. Kai turned to her, a gentle smile on his face, and asked, "Do you like being out here?" Lena nodded. "Yes, it feels peaceful. Like I belong here, at least for now." Kai nodded, understanding. "Sometimes finding the right place can help you see yourself more clearly," he said. Lena felt a small flutter of hope. Maybe belonging didn't have to come from what others thought of her. Maybe it could come from the places and people that truly mattered. When it was finally time to return to the colony, Lena hesitated. She did not want to leave the glowing fields, the pond, and the quiet peace that had begun to fill her heart. Kai noticed and said gently, "You can come back any time. I'll be here, and I'll show you more wonders. You don't have to face the colony alone." Lena felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from the realization that someone cared, someone truly understood her. For the first time, she felt a small sense of hope that maybe the world could be kind after all. As they walked back toward the colony, Lena glanced up at the twin suns, now low in the sky, their light warm and soft. She felt a new kind of courage, one that was quiet but strong. With Kai's guidance and friendship, she began to believe that she might one day feel confident in herself, no matter what the whispers of the market said. The gentle glow of the alien field seemed to follow her, and in her heart, a small light began to shine. The next morning, Lena woke with a strange sense of anticipation. The memory of the glowing fields and the peaceful walk with Kai still lingered in her mind, like a gentle light that refused to fade. For the first time in years, she felt a curiosity about the world that wasn't mixed with fear or worry. The thought of seeing Kai again brought a small, warm smile to her lips. She dressed carefully, her iridescent hair shimmering softly in the morning sun, and made her way toward the outskirts of the colony, where the glowing fields awaited. Kai was already there when she arrived, kneeling beside the same small pond from the day before. The sunlight made the water sparkle like liquid gold, and the floating plants reflected the colors of the twin suns. He looked up and waved, his warm smile making Lena's heart feel lighter. "Good morning," he said. "I thought we could try something different today." Lena nodded, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Different? Like what?" she asked. Kai gestured to a set of floating crystals nearby. "These crystals respond to energy. You can guide them with your hands and see how they change color and move. It's a bit like painting with light." Lena's eyes widened in amazement. She stepped closer and held out her hands, feeling the faint hum of energy around her. Slowly, the crystals shifted, responding to her movements. They danced in intricate patterns, swirling around her fingers like tiny glowing ribbons. Lena gasped softly, a mix of awe and delight filling her chest. "You're doing amazing," Kai said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. Lena felt a warmth spread through her, different from anything she had ever felt before. No one had ever told her she was amazing without expecting something in return. She realized that for the first time, someone saw her not for her appearance but for her talent, her focus, and her heart. Encouraged by his words, she experimented more boldly, guiding the crystals into spirals and waves that reflected the glowing fields around them. After a while, they both sat by the pond, watching the crystals continue to shimmer and spin. Lena felt a quiet sense of contentment, the kind that comes from feeling understood and accepted. "Kai," she said softly, "why are you so kind? Why do you treat me like this when others don't?" He looked at her thoughtfully, his gaze gentle. "Because kindness matters," he said simply, "and because everyone has a light inside them. Sometimes people just need someone to notice it." "I see your light, Lena. I see who you really are." Lena's heart skipped a beat. No one had ever spoken to her like that before. No one had ever noticed her light. She felt a small tear slip down her cheek, but it was not sadness. It was the release of years of loneliness and doubt. She realized that Kai's presence made the world feel safer, brighter, and more beautiful. For the first time, she believed that she could be more than the whispers and stares of the colony. Kai noticed the tear and smiled softly. He leaned a little closer and whispered something that would change Lena's life forever. "You're beautiful." Lena froze, her breath catching in her throat. His words were simple yet filled with truth and warmth. She had heard countless insults about her looks, had been called strange, odd, or different, but never had anyone said something so pure and genuine. Her heart swelled, and for a long moment she simply stared at him, unable to find words. You really mean that?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. Kai nodded. "Of course I do. Beauty isn't about fitting in or looking like everyone else. It's about who you are, the light you carry, and the way you see the world. And you, Lena, are beautiful in every way that matters." Lena felt a strange, powerful sensation rising inside her. It was like a weight she hadn't even realized she was carrying had lifted, leaving her feeling lighter, freer, and braver. She looked around at the glowing fields, the shimmering pond, and the tiny dancing crystals. Everything seemed more vibrant than before, as if the world itself had recognized the change within her. She could feel her confidence growing little by little, and she realized that she didn't need the approval of the colony to feel worthy. Kai's words had opened something inside her, a door to self-acceptance and joy. For the rest of the day, Lena and Kai explored the outskirts of the colony together. Lena experimented more with the glowing crystals, discovering patterns and colors she had never imagined. Kai encouraged her, offered guidance, and celebrated each success with genuine delight. Lena laughed freely, a sound that surprised her with its lightness. She felt a connection to the world and to herself that she had never experienced before. As the twin suns set once more, casting long golden shadows across the glowing fields, Lena sat quietly, feeling a sense of peace she had only dreamed about. She looked at Kai, gratitude shining in her luminous eyes. "Thank you," she said softly, "for noticing me, For everything, Kai smiled warmly. You don't need to thank me, he said. Just remember this. Your beauty isn't something anyone can take away. It's yours and it shines from within. Never forget it. For the first time, Lena truly believed him. She felt a quiet, powerful certainty that no matter what the colony said, she had value, she had light, and she had the ability to make the world around her brighter. And with that thought, she realized that this was only the beginning of her journey. A journey where she would learn to see herself the way Kai saw her, as someone beautiful, talented, and completely extraordinary. After that day with Kai, Lena felt as if a new world had opened before her. The whisper of "You're beautiful" stayed with her, echoing in her mind like a gentle song. She no longer felt the heavy weight of the whispers from the colony. Instead, she felt a quiet strength building inside her, a feeling that maybe she could be proud of who she was, just as she was. That morning, she woke earlier than usual, eager to explore the fields again, her mind buzzing with ideas she had never dared to imagine before. As Lena stepped outside, the twin suns cast warm golden light across the colony. She walked toward the glowing fields, her steps lighter than before. The flowers swayed gently in the breeze, their colors reflecting the light in soft, magical patterns. She knelt by a cluster of flowers, letting her fingers trace their delicate petals. Each touch seemed to awaken something within her. She noticed how her unique perspective allowed her to see patterns and shapes in the plants that others would overlook. A small smile formed on her lips. For the first time, she understood that her differences were a gift, not a flaw. Kai arrived soon after, carrying a few small devices. "Good morning," he said warmly. "I thought we could try something creative today." Lena's eyes lit up. "Creative? What kind of creative?" she asked, curiosity bubbling in her voice. Kai gestured toward a flat area surrounded by glowing flowers. "I brought some holographic projectors. We can use them to create light art. You can guide the light with your hands, shaping it however you like." Lena's heart raced with excitement. She had never imagined she could do something like this. They began experimenting together. Lena reached out her hands and streams of colored light began to follow her movements. At first, the patterns were simple, soft swirls of glowing blue and green. But as she gained confidence, she tried more intricate designs. The light twisted and turned into shapes of flowers, spirals and waves that shimmered and danced in the air. Kai watched her with genuine amazement. "You have a real talent," he said. "Not everyone can see and create beauty like this." Lena felt a thrill of pride, realizing that she could make something magical that no one else could. Hours passed as they worked together, shaping light and exploring its endless possibilities. Lena discovered that she could combine the natural glow of the flowers with the holographic projections to make effects that seemed almost alive. Tiny, floating shapes of light would follow the movement of her hands, twirling and shifting colors. She laughed freely, the sound light and musical, as Kai clapped in delight at her creations. For the first time, Lena felt a sense of joy that had nothing to do with what others thought of her. She was creating, imagining, and sharing something beautiful simply because she wanted to. As the suns began to lower in the sky, casting long golden shadows across the fields, Lena stepped back and admired her work. The holographic patterns glowed softly among the flowers, blending with the natural colors in a display of harmony and light. Kai walked beside her, eyes wide with appreciation. "It's incredible," he said. "You've created something that feels alive. You see things in ways others can't. That's why your light is so special." Lena felt warmth fill her chest. She realized that for the first time, someone had truly noticed her abilities, her uniqueness, and her heart. Over the next few days, Lena began spending more time in the fields, practicing and experimenting with the holographic projections. Each time she worked, her confidence grew. She started imagining new patterns, trying new shapes, and discovering combinations of light and color that surprised even her. Her laughter echoed through the fields as she guided streams of glowing shapes, each movement filled with creativity and joy. She was learning to trust herself, to believe that her differences were not something to hide but something to celebrate. Even when she returned to the colony, Lena carried that light with her. She walked through the streets with a quiet confidence, noticing things others overlooked, the way the sunlight reflected on alien crystal walls, the gentle hum of the floating plants, and the colors that shifted with every movement. She realized that beauty and talent were not defined by others' opinions. Her mind and heart were her own, and her uniqueness gave her the ability to create things that no one else could. By the end of the week, Lena began to see subtle changes in how others treated her. Some colonists, curious about the glowing patterns she created, began asking questions. They wanted to know how she made them, how the light seemed to move so naturally. For the first time, Lena spoke proudly about her talents, explaining her process with confidence. Even those who had once whispered or laughed began to notice her in a new way, not for how she looked, but for the beauty she could create and the joy she shared. That night, as Lena stood in the glowing fields under the twin suns now set in brilliant pink and purple hues, she realized how far she had come. She was no longer the girl who hid in corners afraid of judgment. She had discovered her own light, her own talent, and her own sense of worth, and she knew deep in her heart that this was only the beginning. With Kai's encouragement and her growing confidence, Lena felt ready to explore even greater possibilities and to share her light with the world. The colony buzzed with excitement. The Aurora Festival, a celebration of creativity, science, and human-alien collaboration, had arrived. Streets were decorated with glowing lanterns, floating banners, and ribbons of light that twisted and shimmered in the twin suns' golden rays. Colonists and alien visitors moved through the vibrant avenues, laughing, talking, and admiring the displays of art and technology. Lena's heart raced with a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was her first time sharing her creations with the wider colony, and though she felt proud of her work, she could not ignore the small voice of doubt that lingered in her mind. Kai met her at the edge of the festival grounds, carrying a small box that contained the holographic projectors she had been practicing with. "Ready?" he asked gently, his eyes filled with encouragement. Lena nodded, gripping the box a little tighter. "I think so," she said softly. She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the glowing fields, the pond, and Kai's words. "You're beautiful. Your light is special." That thought gave her the courage to move forward. They set up her installation near the center of the festival. Lena carefully positioned the holographic projectors, letting them blend with the natural light and colors of the surroundings. Slowly, she began guiding streams of glowing light with her hands. The patterns twisted and turned, forming spirals, flowers, and shapes that seemed almost alive. As the light moved, it reflected in the eyes of the crowd that had begun to gather, and murmurs of curiosity rose around her. Lena's heart thumped, but she focused on the gentle hum of the projectors and the beauty unfolding in her hands. At first, a few colonists whispered to one another, doubt in their voices. "What is she doing?" one asked. "It looks strange," another muttered. Lena's chest tightened, and for a brief moment she considered stopping. But then she remembered Kai's smile, the encouragement in his eyes, and the sense of wonder she had felt in the glowing fields. Taking a deep breath, she let her hands move freely, shaping the light with confidence. Spirals formed above the flowers, streams of color danced in harmony, and patterns shimmered in ways that seemed to breathe. The crowd began to fall silent, mesmerized by the beauty she created. Kai watched with pride as Lena's confidence grew. "See," he whispered softly. "Your light is powerful. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Lena's lips curved into a genuine smile. For the first time, she realized that the whispers of the past no longer mattered. Her talent, her creativity, and her courage were stronger than anyone's doubt. She was sharing her gift with the world, and that was enough. Slowly, the crowd's murmurs turned into admiration. Colonists and aliens alike leaned in to watch the patterns swirl and shift. A few younger visitors tried to mimic her hand movements, laughing in delight as the light responded to their motions. Lena's heart soared. She felt a sense of connection with everyone watching, a silent understanding that beauty and creativity were something that could be shared, not judged. She realized that her uniqueness allowed her to bring joy to others, something no amount of teasing could ever take away. By mid-afternoon, Lena's installation had become one of the festival's highlights. People who had once laughed or whispered now approached her with curiosity and respect. "How did you make this?" one colonist asked. "It's incredible." Another smiled warmly, saying, "You have such a gift. Thank you for sharing it." Lena felt warmth fill her chest. She explained patiently, guiding their hands and showing them how to interact with the holographic patterns. With every question answered and every compliment received, her confidence grew stronger. As the twin suns began to set, casting soft, golden pink light across the festival, Lena stepped back to admire her work. Streams of glowing light intertwined with the natural colors of the flowers, forming a living tapestry that seemed to celebrate the beauty of the entire colony. Kai stood beside her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "You did it," he said softly. "You let your light shine, and look at what you've created. Everyone can see it now." Lena's eyes sparkled with unshed tears. She realized she had finally proven something, not just to the colony, but to herself, that she was capable, talented, and deserving of recognition. When the festival ended, Lena walked through the crowd, no longer hiding or shrinking from attention. People smiled, waved, and complimented her, and for the first time she felt truly proud of who she was. She had discovered that beauty was not about fitting in or avoiding judgment. It was about sharing your light and your gifts with the world. And in that moment, Lena knew that her journey had only just begun. After the festival, Lena felt a new sense of purpose. Her creation had been admired not only by humans but by alien visitors as well. And for the first time, she realized that her talents could bring joy to many. Walking through the colony, she noticed people looking at her differently. Smiles replaced whispers, and nods of respect replaced glances of doubt. It was a quiet change, subtle but powerful, and Lena felt a warmth in her chest she had never known before. She began to understand that her light, the uniqueness Kai had spoken of, was no longer hidden. Kai met her near the floating gardens, his eyes sparkling with pride. "Everyone is talking about your work," he said. "Even the council members asked about your installation. They were impressed." Lena blinked, unable to hide her surprise. "They liked it?" she asked softly. Kai laughed lightly, more than liked. They were amazed. And so was everyone else. "You've shown them something special, Lena, something they couldn't ignore." For a moment, Lena felt a wave of disbelief. The same colony that had once made fun of her appearance now recognized her talent, her creativity, and her vision. Over the next few days, Lena was invited to participate in workshops and creative projects across the colony. Kai helped her prepare, offering guidance but never taking control. Together they experimented with blending natural light, holographic projections, and the unique energy of the glowing plants. Lena discovered new patterns, colors, and shapes she had never imagined before. Her hands moved with confidence, shaping the light as if it were an extension of her own imagination. Every project strengthened her belief in herself and in the beauty of her ideas. Word of Lena's abilities spread quickly. Colonists began seeking her advice on their own creative projects. Children asked her to teach them how to shape light, and even adults came to admire her methods. Lena found herself smiling more freely than ever, answering questions patiently, and encouraging others to explore their creativity. Each time she guided someone, she felt a deeper connection to her community, realizing that her gift was not only for herself but for everyone willing to experience it. One morning, while working in the floating gardens, Lena noticed a small group of colonists observing her. They looked curious, hesitant, and unsure how to approach her. Remembering her own past insecurities, Lena walked toward them with a warm smile. "Would you like to try?" she asked gently. The group nodded, and she guided their hands through a simple exercise, teaching them to shape light and color. The joy on their faces, the laughter that echoed through the gardens, filled Lena's heart with pride. She realized that her uniqueness allowed her to inspire others in ways she had never thought possible. Kai watched silently from a distance, feeling quietly proud. He knew that Lena had grown stronger, more confident, and more radiant than ever. Her creativity had become a bridge, connecting humans and aliens, young and old, through the simple beauty of light and imagination. Kai approached her as the sun began to dip toward the horizon. "Look at what you've done," he said softly. "You've changed the way people see you and the way they see the world." Lena nodded, her eyes reflecting the glowing flowers and the warm sunlight. She had learned that beauty was not something imposed by others. It was something she carried within herself, something that could shine outward and touch everyone she met. Even the council members invited Lena to present her work in larger gatherings. She stood before a group of humans and aliens, demonstrating the patterns of light she had created and explaining how she combined the natural energy of the plants with her own imagination. The audience watched in awe as colors and shapes danced in harmony. People who had once doubted her now praised her vision, and some approached her afterward asking for guidance and collaboration. Lena's heart swelled with pride. knowing that she had earned their respect not through words or appearances, but through her creativity and the courage to share it. By the end of the week, Lena realized how much she had changed. She walked through the colony streets with confidence, her luminous hair catching the sunlight and her eyes sparkling with the joy she felt inside. People smiled, waved, and greeted her warmly. Children ran up to show her the patterns of light they had created on their own. Even those who had once mocked her paused to admire her work and nod with quiet respect. Lena understood that her uniqueness had become her strength, and her willingness to embrace it had inspired others. That evening, as the twin suns set over the colony, casting soft gold and pink light across the floating gardens, Lena stood quietly, reflecting on her journey. She thought about Kai's simple, kind words, the whisper that had changed everything. "You're beautiful." That one phrase had helped her see herself differently, to believe in her talent and to embrace her light. She smiled, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment. Lena knew that her journey was far from over, but now she walked with courage, creativity, and a quiet confidence that would guide her for the rest of her life. The colony was alive with excitement once more. This time, Lena wasn't just participating. She was at the center of the celebration. News of her creativity and talent had spread far and wide, and humans and aliens alike were eager to see the wonders she could create with light and imagination. Lena walked through the festival grounds with a calm confidence, her luminous hair catching the sunlight, her eyes sparkling like twin gems. No one whispered behind her back and no one laughed. Instead, she was met with smiles, nods, and warm greetings. Kai walked beside her, quietly proud. "Ready for this?" he asked softly. Lena nodded, feeling a flutter of excitement, though it was nothing like the nervousness she had felt during her first festival. "I'm ready," she said. She carried her holographic projectors with care, thinking about all the practice she had done and all the patterns she had imagined in her quiet moments among the glowing fields. Her mind buzzed with ideas, but instead of fear, she felt joy in sharing her light and creativity with everyone. She arrived at the central plaza, where a large audience had gathered. Humans and aliens of all ages waited expectantly, and Lena felt a rush of gratitude. This was her chance to show that beauty and talent were more than appearances, that uniqueness was something to celebrate. She set up her projectors carefully, letting the natural glow of the surroundings blend with the artificial lights. Slowly, she raised her hands and streams of vibrant color danced above the crowd, twisting into shapes of flowers, spirals, and radiant beams that seemed almost alive. The audience gasped in awe. Children clapped their hands in delight, trying to mimic the patterns of light with their fingers. Adults leaned forward, their faces lit with amazement. Even alien visitors with their shimmering wings and glowing skin watched silently, captivated by the beauty unfolding before them. Lena guided the light with graceful movements, blending colors, shapes, and reflections, creating a living tapestry of light that celebrated not just the festival, but the uniqueness of every individual present. Kai stood quietly to the side, watching with admiration. He remembered the first day he had met Lena in the glowing fields and how hesitant, shy, and unsure she had been. Now she was radiant, confident, and fearless in expressing her talent. "Look at her," he whispered softly to a nearby colleague. "This is what happens when someone sees your light and helps you believe in yourself." Lena felt his gaze, and it reminded her of the moment that had changed everything. The moment he had whispered, "You're beautiful." That simple, kind phrase had started a journey that had transformed her life. As the display continued, Lena noticed the faces of people who had once laughed or whispered. Their expressions had softened. Curiosity and respect had replaced judgment. They watched quietly, taking in the beauty she created and, perhaps unknowingly, learning a lesson about kindness, acceptance, and the value of uniqueness. Lena felt a quiet joy, knowing that her work had the power to inspire not just admiration but understanding. When the light show ended, the crowd erupted into applause. Lena bowed gracefully, her heart swelling with happiness. Kai stepped forward and clapped, his eyes shining with pride. "You did it," he said softly. "You let your light shine and look at what you've created. Everyone can see it now." Lena smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. She had learned that true beauty and talent were not determined by others' opinions. They came from within, from courage, creativity, and the willingness to believe in oneself. After the festival, Lena walked through the colony streets. no longer shy or hesitant. People greeted her warmly, children waved, and even strangers stopped to ask about her creations. She shared her knowledge freely, guiding others in shaping light and color, helping them discover the joy of expressing themselves. Her gift had become more than a talent. It had become a bridge, connecting people through wonder, creativity, and shared experiences. That evening, Lena returned to the glowing fields where her journey had truly begun. The twin suns had set, leaving the sky painted in soft shades of pink, purple, and gold. She knelt by the pond, watching the reflections of the stars shimmer on the water. Kai sat beside her quietly, smiling. Lena felt a sense of peace and pride she had never known before. "Thank you," she said softly, "for believing in me, for showing me that I could shine." Kai shook his head gently. "You did the work. I only helped you see what was already inside you." Lena looked up at the stars, feeling the light she carried within her glow brighter than ever. She realized that life would always bring challenges, but with confidence, creativity, and kindness, she could face anything. She had transformed from a girl who hid from the world into someone who inspired it. Her uniqueness had become her strength. Her talent had become her gift to others, and her heart had become a beacon of hope for the colony. As the night deepened, Lena stood and looked out across Aurora Prime. The colony shimmered with lights, laughter, and life, and she knew she had played a part in making it brighter. She smiled, feeling gratitude for the journey, for Kai, and for the courage she had found within herself. Lena had discovered the true meaning of beauty, one that came not from appearances, but from the light, kindness, and creativity that shone from within. And with that light, she would continue to inspire everyone she met, leaving a trail of hope, joy, and wonder wherever she went.